Yes, guys. Others, any doubts? Let's start your last chapter. So, this is your last chapter. That is company law, elements of company law. Yeah, let's start. Done. Okay, cool. So, all of you are here, I guess. Huh. So, elements of company law. Uh, how many of you this term is new? So you have no idea what this term is. How many of it's okay? So who else? This word is very new. Okay. Okay. Three. Okay. Company law. Okay. Okay. Four. Five. Okay. Uh, others, how come you know company law? How do you know that you are in CS Foundation? How do you know about company law? Is there any cross reference? So how do you know people who knows company law already? Huh. So what is company law? In this chapter, you will be studying two things. First one, intro to company. That is what you mean by company. Yes, this is the last chapter of legal aptitude. Yes. And the next part is your logical reasoning. Yeah, by this is the last chapter of your legal aptitude. Yeah. You mean logical reasoning? That is what. I'll come to your legal reasoning part. Legal reasoning is not a chapter. That is what I was telling you. You have two types of questions. First one is whatever you took a test on constitution yesterday, direct questions. The second one will be a case based question, a interpretation based question. There will be something for you to think. That is called as legal reasoning, meaning they will give you a scenario. Whatever we have already discussed, on that only they will give you a scenario. Yeah. So I'll show you a syllabus tomorrow. So the last one, we'll see the legal reasoning part only. It's not a chapter. It's just a summary of all these chapters. How to apply whatever you have studied in the case-based question. So now I told you, in Indian Contract Act we saw many questions. In torts also we saw many case-based scenarios. So they will give you a line saying that this is what the law says, and they will give you a question based on which you need to interpret how to solve this case, something of that sort. That is called as legal reasoning. That is also multi MCQ only. That we'll see on the last day. Yeah. Okay. So in this chapter you will be seeing two things. The first one, introduction to company, meaning, sir, what is company? First of all, before reading the law about the company, you need to know first what is company. So first we'll be knowing what is a company, how is it different from various other types of businesses, and finally we'll come to a law made on a company itself. So this is how your this chapter is categorized into. Okay, sir. Now that was the intro. Now, if you ask me, sir, how important is this particular chapter, or how important is this particular uh, law in your CS syllabus? If at all this you put it as important, then this chapter is, yeah. So what is the meaning, sir? This particular chapter is very, 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 very important. Is it in foundation, sir? No. Is it in the next level of CS, sir? No. Is it in the final, sir? No. Then when, sir? It is a journey which travels with you way even after you clear your CS. You will have a subject on company law in your executive. It is a subject. That subject will continue even in your final also. Few elements of company law will be there. After that also company law will be there. Meaning how, sir? CS, the major job or your major work life is derived from this law only, company law. Yeah, so you need to know in and out sections, rules, if possible by heart everything by the end of your CS journey. It will be of a great help once you clear CS as well. Yeah, your day in and day out of your job will be in this Companies Act. Company law, or also called as Companies Act 2013. So it's very important. So make sure your foundation, your basics are strong. So what we have in your particular CSEET is just basics, not very advanced level. So you will be reading this particular law in 3 stages. That is your beginner, the second one is medium stage, the last one is your advanced stage. That is your final. So this is how this particular chapter will be. So it's very important. So because this chapter is so important, the chances of asking questions from this chapter is also more. Even the weightage is also more. So if you want me to categorize your chapters, the first one will be your Indian Contract Act and company law. This will be equal weightage. If I'm not wrong, at least 30% and 30% will be from these two chapters. And Constitution, Tort and General Clauses Act, you can take some 15%, 15%, 10%. That will be the maximum weightage. Yeah. And yes, said that this is the first attempt, we don't know what is the exact weightage also. Yeah. Okay, sir. So you said that this is the law which is like quite important. Okay, sir. Now we got to know that company law is very important from your career perspective also. This law will travel with you throughout your career. Now, what is the chapter? Chapter is elements of company law, or let us write it as company law. Sir, what is company law? I told you, when we are doing Indian Contract Act, it deals with contracts. We were doing with torts, it deals with torts. So basically what is company law then? Company law is a law which regulates the working of a company and related people. So law which regulates the working of a company and related people. Sir, who are these related people? Related people can be your director, CS, CEO, Instot, all of them together. So, sir, what is this company law then? Now, for example, in our previous chapter, we saw that there are so many companies, sir. Now, you tell me, you as an individual, if you want to live in this society, there are so many laws which govern you to live peacefully in a society so that you do not harm someone. For example, if you go and hit someone, then it will become a tort. If you go and kill someone, it becomes a murder, criminal case. So, for you to run properly in this particular society, there is a law made for every inch of it. In the same way, for a company to work properly, there is a law made for it. Now, that law is called as company law. So, what is company law, sir? A law made by the Indian Parliament to govern the companies which are established in India, and also such people who are associated with the company. So a law made for them to work is called as company law. Now, the next question is, sir, we got to know in a gist that what is company law? Law which governs the companies which are established in India. Now, the next question is, sir, what do you mean by company? That we should know, no, sir, first. So, what is company? Company is not a straightly derived English term. So, what do you mean by company, sir? In a company, if I have to tell you, there is three things which I have to specify. What is that? Company is derived from Latin word. Sir, why these Latin words keep coming in the syllabus? Yes, to make your lives miserable. So, Latin word. In Latin, what do you mean by that, sir? In Latin, it is called as com and panis. Com and panis. Sir, what do you mean by this? Com means together. Panis means bread. Basically, nothing but food. So in Latin word, companies means com panis. Com means together. Panis means bread. So what do you mean by this, sir? In short, it means association of persons who took their meals or food together. So what do you mean by company? In simple terms, we generally also use, I am going to shopping today. Will you give me the company? Or will you accompany me? We use this word. Will you give me the company? Can you come with me? I am going for shopping. Are you willing to come with me? I'm interested to go to have dinner today. Will you accompany me? So what do you mean by that? Together, let us do something. In those days, people, that is workers, after their first half, that is after working for the first half, in the afternoon, all of them used to meet and used to have their lunch together. So basically, group of people doing something together there. Latin word they used to call it as company. Together, come, let's have some food. So in the same way, they derived an English word out of it called as company. Basically, it is an association of people. Okay, sir. Now, company means in English term, few people coming together and doing a business. Now, who are these people coming together? Who are they? In our company law language, they are called as persons who form company are called members or shareholders or owners of the company. So who are they, sir? So people now who come together and they want to do some business. Whoever starts the idea, they pool in the money and they invest in the company. For investing in the company, they get something in return. What is that called? It is called as shares. Now, whoever are the shareholders, they are called the actual owners of the company. Now, we use the third word called share. So, what are shares? Shares means the proportion of capital to which each member is entitled. So what exactly is this, sir? For example, assume there were two people, two brothers. Mother gave those two brothers one apple and she told them to share it. Yeah. So what did the brother do? The elder brother, he cut the apple and he couldn't cut it equally. So the elder one got 60% of the apple and the younger one got 40% of the apple. Now the mother came and asked, in this apple, what is your respective shares? Elder one said, I own 60% of the apple. The younger one said, I own 40% of the apple. Same way in the company. When you open a company, all of them put some money to open a company. That in your terms is called as capital. Yes. So when someone asks you what is your percentage of money in the capital, you say my percentage is whatever you have contributed. So how to know that? That we say is called as share. In this entire thing, what is your share? And that is how the word share came into picture. And it is popularly today called as equity or preference share. So I hope you got a fair idea how the word share was derived. So in the company, there are assume 100 shares. In that I own 60 shares, meaning in the 100, for example, if the face value of a share is 10 rupees, so the total face value is 1000 rupees. 100 shares into 10 rupees, it becomes 1000 rupees. Now if someone asks me how much is your ownership in that company, I tell them I own 60% of the share in the company, meaning out of the 1000 rupees I own 60% of the share. And that is how the word shares were divided. That is how it was derived, the word equity share. Okay, sir. Now we know what is company, how did it started, the Latin usage. Now who are called as members and who are called as shareholders? How did the word shares also derive? Now in our normal language, what is a company, sir? If you want to do business, there are many ways you can do a business. For example, sir, the first type of business, type or forms of doing business, the first type is called as sole proprietorship, meaning, sir, if you are doing a business, you need not maintain a different account. You can continue in your own account. Your business is not different and the person is not different. Both are one and the same. This is what you were studying from your first PU, sole proprietor. Now, examples for this, sir, all the small shops, whatever you see, it will be sole proprietorship. Your day-to-day shops, whatever you buy, the tea or chai wala, whoever they make, all those things are sole proprietorship. The next one is a partnership type of business, where these two are no way different. What is the only difference then? Why are there two types of business, sir? Sole proprietor, there is only one person. Here there are two or more people. And rest all is almost same, but technicalities there are a little difference, but rest all is almost same. And the third type of business is called as corporate form. body corporate. Under this, there are two forms. One is called as LLP, the other one is called as company. Now, what exactly is all this, sir? Why should I open sole proprietorship? Who should open partnership? Who should open body corporate, that is a company? This LLP for now, do not bother about it. We'll see that a little while later. But first, let's see what is sole proprietorship, what is partnership, what is body corporate. Now tell me, sole proprietorship is not new for you. What are the characteristics of sole proprietorship? If I ask you what is sole proprietorship, how do you define it?
Profits and losses are bear by only a person.
Okay. Keep telling, I'll keep writing. Okay, one person we can take it as a point only. Okay, next one. Yes, Sharon, you had some point?
Yeah, he can take his own decisions.
So he can take his own decisions because there is no other party, third party involved. So take his own decisions.
No need to maintain accounts.
No need to maintain accounts. Why?
Dual accounts.
Dual accounts. Okay, we can say that the business's income is same as the person's income, meaning there are no two different accounts maintained. Whatever is coming in is same for person also. Not okay. Sakleen says not liable to anyone. How Sakleen? How not liable to anyone?
Who is not accountable to anyone?
He's not accountable. Okay, he's not accountable to anyone. Okay, that is he can work independently. Okay, so work independently. Okay, cool.
He can invest what he has. He doesn't have to take any other shares or.
Okay, you are telling that he can invest. Okay, you say that he can invest what he has.
Yeah.
Yeah. So capital, is it limited, or you can get how much ever you want? The source.
Limited.
So the source of money is limited. So
Yes, sir.
the capital is limited because there is only one person. What is the maximum he can get? There is always a limit. Sindhu says unlimited liability. What is that, Sindhu? What do you mean by unlimited liability? Yes, Sindhu, what is unlimited liability? What do you mean by that, unlimited liability? You guys have to. What do you mean? How exactly do you think there is unlimited liability?
He is only a one person carrying a business.
Okay, so what exactly do you mean by unlimited liability?
Personal assets of the person can be seized
Okay.
in case he has to pay his debts.
Okay, who answered that? Disha answered that. Okay, guys, I hope sole proprietorship and partnership, you guys, it's not new for you, correct? Is it a new thing?
No,
No, sir.
Okay, sir, what do you mean by unlimited liability? If at all the company goes, I mean the business goes into losses tomorrow. For example, assume he did a business for 1 year. In the 1 year, he earned somewhere around 2 lakh of assets. 2 lakh of assets in the business. Equally, in this 1 year only, he also had to take loan. He had to take some creditors and all. Everything was there. The loans and liabilities came up to 5 lakh. That is, whatever he has to pay is only 2 lakh. The money he has to pay is only 2 lakh. But the outstanding losses is 5 lakh. Now, what do you mean by unlimited liability? Whatever is your business income, first that will be used. So out of 5 lakh, you have 2 lakh worth assets. Still 3 lakhs is outstanding. For this 3 lakhs, your personal assets will be taken. So meaning what, sir? Business is not different and the person is not different. So tomorrow if you lose something in that business, you should sell your own properties. You cannot say that that was business, that was different, and you cannot come and take anything from my home. That you cannot say. When I say personal assets here, people will come in and take your furniture. People will come in and take your gold. People will come and take your bank accounts, your property, everything to collect their 3 lakhs back. That is the meaning of unlimited liability. Meaning the liability of you, the losses is not stopped for whatever is in the business. It will also personally attach to your property. Okay, cool, good point. Next one. What else are the nature of sole proprietorship?
The proprietor and the business are one and the same. That is, if the proprietor dies or is mentally unstable, the business will come to an end with the death of the.
Oh, awesome. Wonderful point. So, if the proprietor dies, the business also dies with him. So, what do you mean by that? Is there any word used for it? Any?
No separate legal entity.
Dissolution of the proprietorship will not exist. I mean, it happens with the death of the proprietor.
Okay, we'll come to that technical word when we are writing about the company. So,
Separate legal entity.
no?
No
Separate.
separate legal entity.
Okay. No continuity, or also called as perpetuity. Yeah? Perpetuity means forever. You cannot continue the business forever. How, sir? If the person dies, business also dies. That is the meaning of no continuity or perpetuity. You guys said, what is it? No separate legal entity. That is what you said?
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by no separate legal entity?
Sir, the owner's shop doesn't have any separate legal entity, or it doesn't have any common seal for any credit or bills.
Okay.
Owner only goes and signs for any credit or if he has to pay any
Okay.
bills.
So what do you exactly mean by no separate legal entity? For example, if you want to buy a car for business, if at all you're a sole proprietor, you will be buying the car in the name of you only. Business is not different, you are not different. That is what we saw. So whatever is this comes and sits here also, meaning you are not different, your business is not different. Tomorrow if some losses needs to be paid, you have to pay it. You are not different and your company is not different. That is, your business is not different. If it is losses, if it is some case, if at all I have to file a case against your business, if you are a sole proprietor, the person can file it on you only, in your name. He can file it in your name only. He need not file it in the name of the business. That is the meaning of no separate legal entity. Okay, cool. Next. What are the points? Is it difficult to start a sole proprietorship?
No.
No? So, can I say that this is easy to start? For example, if someone has to start a shop, near grocery shop, what he do? He'll go and give advance to the shop owner and he will come and set it up. Is there any legal work, documentation? Should you file certain forms to any authority? Answer is no. So easy to start, easy to end. There is no one, there is no authority, there is no law for you at all. So next one, no law to govern. No law. Okay, you can say no law governs sole proprietorship. There is nothing like a specific law which applies to you. What other points?
He can generate more credit by given to the trustworthies of him.
I didn't get you.
He can.
Okay, Disha says it's unorganized. What do you mean by unorganized?
The number of employees are either less than 10, and the fact that it doesn't fall under the government laws.
Okay,
It does have certain mandatory laws, but apart from that, it cannot be governed by the law set by the government specifically, which are applicable to the organized sector.
okay. So ideally it is totally unorganized. Okay. Sharan, you had a point?
Yes, sir. He give only credit to the trustworthy within his neighborhood.
Okay. Okay.
So he doesn't ask any proof for future payment.
Okay. Okay. I have a point. Tell me, who is the owner and who takes decision? Is it both one and the same, or they both are different?
They both are same.
They both are same. Meaning ownership and management are similar. Correct? So this is something about sole proprietorship you guys already know. Now tell me, what do you mean by partnership? What do you mean by partnership?
Two or more people who have the same interest join together and start a company.
Okay.
Or start any organization.
Okay, two or more people. Okay, they start a company. That is a business. Okay. Next. Is there a law for partnership?
Yeah.
It is there?
Section 32 of Partnership Act 1932.
Okay, so basically there is the Indian Partnership Act. There is Indian Partnership Act 1932, which governs the 1932, yes, which governs the partnership business in India. Okay, now what else is there here? Do they have
Profit and losses are shared in their number of ratios.
Okay, profit and losses are shared. Okay, next. How do we know at what ratio it is shared? How do we know what is the rights and duties? How is that all fixed between the partners?
If there is a partnership,
Agreement between them.
Okay, so you all.
Partnership deed exists between the two
Okay,
partners.
there is something called as partnership deed or partnership agreement. Yes. Okay. Here. Now what happens here? What else we can write? Is it limited liability or unlimited liability?
Unlimited liability.
Okay. Same thing writes here also. And perpetual, that continuity.
Is unlimited, sir. Capital is unlimited.
Capital is unlimited.
Not unlimited, it's comparatively higher than sole proprietorship.
Comparatively, it is a little higher, but still it is limited only. Okay. And what is the maximum number of members in a partnership firm? Minimum is 2. Maximum? No idea?
No, sir.
Okay, there are two interpretations. One is 50 and other one is 100. Both are right. Why? Companies Act only defines the two limits also. For now, let us go with 50. So, maximum number of partners in a partnership firm can be only 50. Yes, Varun, you are right. Maximum is only 50. Above that, sir, you cannot continue as a partnership firm. It will be called as an illegal association, meaning the law says, see, partnership, there is no particular law which drives you. Though Partnership Act is applicable on you, registering under partnership is optional. There is no mandatory. So, if 50 or more people come and do business, there are all chances that it ends up in fraud. So the law say up to 50 you do whatever you want. I'll not question you. Beyond 50 you cannot do a business under Partnership Act. So the maximum number of people is 50.
Company has a separate legal entity. That means a partnership organizations.
Okay, partnership has separate legal entity. Does it have? Does partnership have separate legal entity?
Yes, sir.
Yes, guys. Partnership has separate legal entity.
It does.
Okay, it does or it doesn't. Others, I believe I am discussing something you guys all know. That is why I am asking interpretation from you. All of you participates, it will be good.
Yes, sir. It has separate legal entity.
It has separate legal entity.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So business is different, partners are different. Whatever losses partnership suffers, that partners are not personally liable. That is what you are supposed to mean. There is no separate legal entity. Partners are still personally liable. If at all there is any loss which comes tomorrow, so you will be personally liable. When I say you will be personally liable, no separate legal entity. Partners are not different. Partnership firm is not different. They are all one and the same. Says the law. Huh? Yeah? Okay. Anything else we can write under partnership?
Ownership of contributed assets.
What?
Co-ownership of contributed assets.
Okay, there is co-ownership. There are more than one owners. Okay, co-ownership. Yes?
When
Oh,
a partner dies, the firm doesn't come to an end.
okay. If a partner dies, the firm does not come to an end. That is a discussable point. It depends on what you have written in your agreement. If in your agreement you have written that a partner dies and still the partnership firm continues, then okay. If it is silent, then the partnership firm comes to an end because it ends up into a dissolution of partnership. Yeah?
Only the deed comes to an end, right?
What?
It will continue, but the partnership deed will come to an end, right?
So exactly. So it all depends on how you have framed your partnership. For example, assume there are only two partners. So what is the requirement of partnership? Two or more people. Two people are coming together and they are entering into a partnership. One person dies. There is only one person left. Partnership firm cannot continue. Yeah. So there are certain clauses in that also. So it all depends on your partnership deed. Yeah. But if you want your partnership to continue, then you can write it in the same way where the legal successors will come and they'll become the partners and the partnership will continue. All that depends on how you want to draft your partnership agreement. So basically it all depends on this. Yes? Okay. Now, what do you mean by company? LLP will come to it a little while later, not now. What is company? Huh?
It has a separate legal entity.
Okay. So this you can start writing. This is important from now. We are coming to your chapter. So you guys told we don't know about company. Sir, you still know. Separate legal entity.
It has a common.
Separate legal entity or called as corporate personality. Okay. Does anyone know any case laws in this particular company related things? Have you come across any case law? No? Okay. So when we talk about company, we have lot of case laws in this particular chapter. So let us see one by one. Yeah. Okay, sir. Sir, now what do you mean by separate legal entity? Now what do you mean by that? Till now we have been writing. What is that? Separate legal entity means members are different and the company is different. Members are different and the company is different. It was given or derived in a famous case law called Salomon versus Salomon. Salomon versus Salomon. Sir, what exactly is this case law? It's a very interesting case law. Yeah. So what exactly is this case law, sir? Separate legal entity. What exactly is this? So there was a very interesting case law. So what is this case law, sir? In this case law, there was a person called as Aaron Salomon. This person is Aaron Salomon. He used to carry on shoe business. He was a shoe manufacturer. And he was doing it as a sole proprietorship. The business was going on really good, really good. So one of his son, he also wanted to join him in the business. So he was doing it alone all this while. There was one of his son. So this person was Salomon. His son also wanted to join his business. Sole proprietor can be done only by one person. Now how to do this? So what did Salomon do? Salomon opened a company. He incorporated a company. So this was his sole proprietorship. He opened a company. And he made himself the shareholder. So in this company there were shareholders. Sir, who were the shareholders? The shareholders was Salomon himself, his wife, and his 5 children. Yeah, he opened a company and whatever the shares of the company are, it was taken by Salomon, his wife, and his 5 children. Salomon subscribed to 20,000 one share, his wife took 1 share, and his 5 children took 1 share each. Okay, sir. Now, with whatever money, he took over the sole proprietorship. So, whatever was the sole proprietorship, he opened a company and he transferred all the business of the sole proprietorship to the company. Now, the sole proprietorship became the company itself, of which the shareholders were them, and also there was something called as directors. The directors were also Salomon's son itself. So everything was run by them. Now, when they wanted to take over the sole proprietorship, they have to give something in return. So basically they only got something in return. For that, they gave consideration to this business. What do you mean by consideration? For whatever business you are taking over, for that you have to pay money. See how beautifully they framed it. So, to pay the consideration, they transferred, first thing we all know, shares. They got shares. What are the shares? These were the shares. So, they transferred a total 20,007 shares. Whatever was this. In return for giving the business. And he gave debentures also. The consideration in total was 38,789 pounds. 38,789 pounds. That was the value of the sole proprietorship. So to take over that, he gave 20,007 shares of £1 each. And debentures which were secured. What do you mean by secured? Secured meaning if at all something happens, if you are not able to repay these debentures, then instead of the money, the person, whoever has the debentures, can take your assets also. Whenever I say secured, that means if you are not able to repay this to the particular person, then that person can come and take over your assets as well. Whatever the property belongs to you, they can take over the assets. So he issued 10,000 worth debentures also. And for the rest of the money, that is 8,789, he issued cash. So put together everything was 38,789 pounds. With this money, he took over the sole proprietorship, whatever belonged to him. Now they started doing the business under a company type of formation. Now they went on in this form for 1 year. In this 1 year, they wanted even more money. So they raised some more money from creditors, from another debentures. But these debentures were unsecured. We'll come to that. What is that? He raised money and he started doing the business. Now, after 1 year, the company started seeing losses. Their business was totally into loss. Now, they came to a stage where they ended up in a stage where their total assets, whatever his property, was only 6,050 pounds. But his liability was 10,000 pounds. They reached this situation. That is, they have properties or whatever worth assets of 6,050 pounds. They have liability of 10,000 pounds. So the liability was more. Now, whoever are these outsiders, creditors, debenture holders, these people came and asked money with Solomon. They said, see, you're anyways into losses. With whatever assets is remaining, you repay, that is, you give that assets to us. But what did Solomon do? Solomon took these assets to repay his liability first. Which liability, sir? There were outstanding debentures, which were secured. What do you mean by secured, sir? If at all the company does not have money to repay, then the person, whoever holds the debentures, he can come and take over the assets of the company. So Solomon, with whatever 10,000 worth the debentures he had, he came and he recollected the money back So whatever the assets were, that was taken by Salomon himself. Now the people, outsiders, these creditors, they went and they filed a case in the court saying that the company had to repay the liabilities of the outsiders first. If at all there is anything which remains after that, then the owner should take. But in this case, the owner of the company was Salomon, the director of the company was Salomon, the debenture holder also was Salomon. So he is not different and the company is not different. Whatever the losses first should come to us, even though we are unsecured. Unsecured meaning if tomorrow there is any loss, I cannot come and take your assets. That is the meaning of unsecured. Said the creditors. Now it went to the court. Now the court heard the matter. The court said there is 6,050 rupees left. Now with that, either it should go to the outsiders or to the owner, in this case the secured debenture, who is nothing but the owner only. The court said, remember one thing, though the owner is Salomon only, but the business is different and the secured debentures are different. Though it is his business only, he has raised it through issuing a secured debenture. In this case, first, whenever the company is going for winding up, whenever the company goes for winding up, meaning shut down or close, when you have only a limited amount of money left, then the order of repayment will be always first goes to secured debentures. And then you pay unsecured debentures. And then you pay preferential shareholders. And the last person to pay will be equity shareholder. So in the given case, Salomon also had 10,000 worth of secured debentures. So the law said, yes, he is the owner, but still this person is different and this person is different. Why? He has both the instruments. So the first money will belong to Salomon only, and the law said this is the concept of separate legal entity. The owner is different and the business is different. So this was a landmark judgment called as Salomon versus Salomon. Very, very, very important case law. Did you guys understand? Yeah.
So when the company is liquidating and when they have to repay the debtors,
Correct.
will they first repay the creditors or the debenture holders?
It will always be secured debt. Whatever is secured will be repaid. For example, assume you are a secured creditor, then you will also come here only.
So creditors and debenture holders fall under the same category.
Exactly, as long as you are secured. But ideally in business transactions, it will be unsecured creditors. Sir, who are creditors? Who are creditors?
They take the product on credit, the services or products.
Exactly. So who are creditors is like from whom you have taken products on credit. For example, assume if at all there is a manufacturer and retailer, they do not pay every time they send the product. They will settle everything monthly once. That means he has a 30 days credit. On whatever products he has taken, he has 30 days to repay this money. This is nothing but credit. So for us, he becomes our creditor. There is no way it is becoming secured. So he becomes unsecured, then he goes and sits here. Yeah? Okay. Any other doubt?
So what about preference shareholders?
Here they are here.
At that stage,
Huh?
why don't they come at that stage of repaying, sir?
Preference shareholders, They are similar to equity shareholders, just that they are not the actual owners. So when you see it in terms of risk, preference shareholders also have risk, but little less compared to equity shareholders. When we go in detail, I mean, you don't have it here. In your executive, you will be learning what exactly is the rights of preference shareholders. Yeah, they are very similar to equity shareholders. When compared to risk, they get dividends just like equity shareholders. If the dividend is not given for 2 years, they can vote on everything just like equity shareholders. So the rights always coincide. Yeah? Huh. Any other doubts? But did you guys understand the concept?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all of you? Separate legal entity, all of you, did you understand the concept? Cool. Cool. Okay. So all these are landmark judgments. I mean, it will travel with you throughout your this one. The next case law under the same thing is called as Lee versus Lee Air Farming Limited. Lee versus Lee Air Farming Limited. This is also a very interesting case law. What exactly happened? There was a person called Mr. Lee. He opened a company called as Lee Air Farming Limited. That is this. In which he was the maximum shareholder. The maximum shares were with him only. And he was also the managing director of the company. And this is the Air Farming Limited. It was something related to driving a aeroplane. So this person was also the chief pilot. So he was also the pilot who used to get salary. Yeah. So he was also a pilot who drives this particular aeroplane in that company. Everything was him only. One day when he was driving a aeroplane, whenever he was piloting a aeroplane, this particular person crashed it somewhere, and this particular person, Mr. Lee, passed away in that accident, in that flight crash. So Mr. Lee's wife, went and filed a request with the company that my husband was an employee of the company, so he deserves the compensation. What is compensation? Back then there was a law saying that, even now you have a law, if at all an employee dies in the course of the business, in the course of the employment, if the employee dies, then the company should give compensation to the particular whoever the person passes away. Now, this thing went to the insurance company who were liable to pay the insurance, that is a compensation. The company passed on the claim to the insurance company, saying that the wife of the person, whoever has passed away, has come to claim the compensation. The insurance company denied paying the money. They said, we will not pay. Wife asked, why? What did I do? Why shouldn't I be paid? The insurance company said, yes, this person was the employee, but the company was also belonging to this person. How can a person be an employee in his own company? And they said he was not the employee at all, but he was the owner of the company. Was the case. And in this case also, the court decided, no, the company is different and the person is different. Yes, he is the owner of the company, but in his individual capacity, he was also working for which he was getting the salary. So when he was getting a salary, he was an employee. An employee is different and the company is different. So there was separate legal entity. Owner is different, company is different. You cannot say that this person was not the employee and the compensation was given to the wife. So that was Lee versus Lee Air Farming Limited. Any doubt in this case law? Is it clear? Okay, cool. So that was our first characteristic of a company, no separate legal entity. The second character, limited liability. Sir, what do you mean by limited liability? Whenever there are losses, the liability of the member is limited. Unlike sole proprietorship, where we had written this particular example, if at all the company's assets are not sufficient to repay the liability, your personal assets will also be taken. That does not apply to the company type of business. That is limited liability. Under this, you can write for your reference, liability of member extends up to nominal value of shares held and not paid by him. Sir, what exactly is this? I believe in your accounts you would have done this particular chapter in your first PU or second PU. There was this company accounts wherein you have to issue shares to people. So there was the application money, allotment money, first call, second call. You have seen that? Did you guys had that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, when I say limited liability, what do you mean by that? Now, assume the company had 100 shares of rupees 10 each. That means the actual amount is 1000 rupees, the paid up amount, of which they have called the application money, they have called the allotment money, they have called the first call. Sir, how much is application money? Assume 2 rupees. Allotment money 2 rupees. First call 1 rupee. Now, this was the state of the company. Now, the company went for winding up. The company didn't perform well. Out of 10 rupees, only 5 rupees was called. The rest 5 rupees, sir, they wanted to do that second call, third call and all. By that time only the company went for winding up. So this is called as uncalled money. Yeah. Now what do you mean by limited liability? If at all the shares are 10 rupees each, in that you have paid only 5 rupees. Now your liability is only to the next 5 rupees whichever is not paid by you. Sir, what if the entire 10 rupees was called by the company? Then your liability becomes zero, nil. So what do you mean by limited liability, sir? Now take the example. If at all you had 2 lakh worth assets, your liability was 5 lakh. First, you will use the 2 lakhs to pay this 5 lakh. Sir, now what happens to the 3 lakh? Now the question is whether the company has totally paid up the capital or is there any uncalled amount also. In this 3 lakh case, let us take 2 scenarios. The first scenario where only 5 rupees was called, the rest 5 rupees is not paid. Then the liabilities, the rest 5 rupees will be asked to be paid by the shareholder. 5 rupees into how many ever shares you have. Sir, the second scenario, the company has called up everything, that is second call, third call, everything is made, the entire 10 rupees is paid up, then sir, then the liability of the members is 0. So this 3 lakh sir, no one can touch your personal property, your home, your bank accounts, your gold, your furniture, no one can touch it. That is the meaning of limited liability and also separate legal entity. Your properties are different, the company's properties are different. If at all the company has any losses, only your assets. Sir, what are these assets? Assume you had some property. Assume the company had some cash, bank, all that. Only that should be used to repay the liability, not your assets. That is the meaning of limited liability. Any doubt?
So what if the full amount is not able to paid by a company?
Which amount?
That full 5 lakh amount is not able to pay.
Okay, the entire 5 lakh is not able to be paid by the company.
Okay, they have called upon all the shares.
Okay, so now everything is called up, sir. There is nothing with the company, but 5 lakh is still left as liability. That is your question?
Yes, sir.
Who?
They have took all the assets, all the property.
Everything is done, sir. Still 5 lakh is pending.
Yeah.
Then whoever this liability belongs to, it is a loss for him. There is no way you can collect it from the other party.
Sir, can't they ask the CEO or the
No, CEO is as an employee. Why will he pay?
because he only started the company, right?
Correct. He started the company, and you only told there is a separate legal entity. If you see, this is what happened in Salomon versus Salomon. What happened to unsecured creditors?
They went into loss.
Yeah, and do you know something?
Sir,
What happened to Kingfisher? Don't you think Vijay Mallya has property to pay?
yeah, he has.
Yeah, but Vijay Mallya is different, Kingfisher is different. That is why he is still able to lead life in London.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
getting the point, guys, everyone? Able to follow? All of you? Yeah? All of you? I hope it's clear, pace is going good. Let me know if you do not understand anything, I can repeat it to you. Yeah? Okay, sir. The third point, company has a character of perpetual succession. Sir, what do you mean by this perpetual succession? Anyone, any idea? Heard this thing before?
The death of insolvency of any particular member of the company does not lead to an end of the company. The company will go on regardless of the members.
Okay, perfect. Perpetual meaning forever. Succession meaning one after the other. Dad, son, grandson, one after the other. Perpetual succession. Grandfather dies, father will take over. Father dies, son will take over. Perpetual succession. Meaning what, sir? Assume I'll give you a question. It is a question for you. There were total 10 shareholders. 10 shareholders. All of them belong to an army. All of them belong to an army. All of them, 10 shareholders, all of them are from army only. They started doing a business, and all of a sudden they got a call from the border saying that there is a fight going on. You guys have to come and immediately report. All 10 shareholders went. That is, all 10 shareholders were soldiers. Now there was a very tough fight which was going on. Yeah, okay. In this fight, unfortunately, there was one bomb which came and dropped in between these 10 shareholders. All the 10 shareholders passed away. I'm not telling which country these people belong to us, so let us not become patriotic. Just an example. So it can be of any particular country. So all the 10 shareholders pass away. Now the 10 shareholders, that is the soldiers, they were shareholders. All the 10 shareholders pass away at the same point of time. Now tell me, whatever their company was, what happened to the company? Will it come to an end?
Heights will start, will continue the company.
What?
Legal heights will continue the company.
The company does not come to an end even after the 10 shareholders dying?
No,
No.
no.
Even the 10 also passed away.
Yeah, but they are different and company is different.
Correct. So,
So,
The partner
they
will
don't-
come and go, but company remains same.
sir, the partner, what is the partner? Who's that? Shareholders come and go, sir, but the company will remain forever. So, one of the very known professor, he gave a statement for you guys. What is that? So, a very popular statement. He says, who? Professor LCB Gover. LCB Gover says, members may come and go. Members may come and go, but the company can go on forever. So even a bomb blast which is put on the shareholders also cannot destroy the company. Is it clear? All of you.
yes, sir.
Now I'll have a second question. Shall I? All of you should participate. Come on, guys. Now, all the 10 shareholders were sitting in a building. Sir, what is this building? This building is nothing but the company itself. The company owns a hotel. So they were sitting in the hotel. And when the meeting was going on, there was a meeting between the 10 shareholders. All of a sudden, the terrorist drops a bomb on the company's building itself. Now, the shareholders passed away, the directors passed away, the company, the building, that also collapsed. Not even one brick was left. Now, what happens to the company?
They buy another building and start the company. Continue the company.
The company, what happens to that company?
Yeah, legal heights will take another building for rent or for lease and they'll start their company.
But this company will not come to an end,
No,
even in spite of the building being collapsed.
company doesn't have a debt, sir.
Company?
Doesn't have debt.
Company does not have death. Okay. So I hope you are clear. Guys, this is how your second type of questions will be. Are you getting the point? So this is what is legal reasoning. They will ask you Salomon versus Salomon. They will the Lee versus Lee. It's a very important one. They will ask you a question here. Yeah. So this is how your legal reasoning will be. Legal reasoning is not a chapter. That is where they say, see, this is the legal maxim. This is what does the rule say. And they give you a case and they tell you to solve it. That is how legal reasoning happens. The second type of questions. Okay. Clear? Are we going smooth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fourth one. Sir, when we know that there is a separate legal entity concept, meaning what? There is a concept of separate property. Meaning what, sir? Meaning company can hold and sell property in its own name. So, unlike sole proprietorship, where the person is only the owner, there is no difference between business property and his property. That is does not apply here. Next one, free transferability of shares. Free transferability of shares. There is an asterisk mark. Why? I will give you a cross reference when I am telling you private company. Now, sir, what do you mean by free transferability? For example, assume you buy shares of Infosys. You can sell it to anyone else. No one can stop you. Shares of a company are freely transferable. Partnership, you have to take the prior permission of other partners. That is not the case with the company. Your shares, the ownership is freely transferable. Whoever is a shareholder is a owner. Yeah. Next one, capacity to sue. So, in sole proprietorship, if at all you have a complaint, you can either file it on the business name or you can file it on that person's name only. But if it is a case against the company, you have to sue in the name of the company itself, not in the name of the owner of the company. He is different, the company is different. So, capacity to sue and be sued. What do you mean by sue and be sued? To file a complaint. So, you can file a complaint in the name of the company or you can receive a complaint in the name of the company only. You should not question the owner. Limitation of action. Meaning what, sir? Company cannot go beyond power stated in Memorandum of Association. Sir, what do you mean by Memorandum of Association? MOA? What the company should do and what a company should not do. That is what and all it can do. The power, the scope is prescribed in MOA, Memorandum of Association. Sir, what is this? In partnership firm, what a partners can do, what they should not do, everything where it is given partnership deed. Same way in a company, memorandum of association says what can the members do and they cannot do. It defines the scope. It tells what is the object for which the company is formed. That is called as MOA. Next one, separate management. Meaning, owners are different, but the decision makers, the people who drive the company are different. Management is always with directors. Ownership is different, management is different. In sole proprietor, both were same. Sir, when you say that they are different, tell me one thing, can the company be a citizen of India? The answer is no. The company cannot be called as a citizen. Then what is it called, sir? it is called as artificial juridical person. So it is also like me and you, it is also a person, but you and me are natural persons. Company is a artificial person. Sir, where does it belong to? Like I belong to a particular place. Now where does this company belong to? Company belongs to wherever your registered office address is mentioned. For example, sir, Infosys has their branches in Pune. Now they are setting up in Hubli. They have in Mysore. Now, where exactly does Infosys belong to? Wherever their registered office is situated. Their registered office is situated in Bangalore. So, if something happens, you have to come and file a case on Infosys in Bangalore, because that is where they belong, registered office. Yeah. So this is the characteristics of a company. So any doubt so far? Okay, cool. So let us quickly take a break.